Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline here at etrailer. Today we're reviewing the HydroSpray Portable Water Pump. This is a pump in a case from WaterPORT. Really easy to just carry around, and once you have this over by a lake, a creek, a stream, you just toss your filter in, plug it into a power source, and you can turn all that water into a shower. Now, with this being very easy to set up, let's talk about that setup process, but also let's compare it with some other options that you may be considering for your next adventure. I've been working with a lot of WaterPORT products, and I love the different concepts they work with. I've done a lot with the WaterPORT tanks, where they're tanks where you bring all your water with you, and those tanks can be pressurized. This is going to be a little different. This is going to be something that when you are going to somewhere that already has water, you then don't have to bring your water with you. You just need to bring the pump. So this all packs up into this really easy to carry around case, but it's also durable because WaterPORT knows that where you're going might not be as glamorous. Let's start with the water source. Here at etrailer, we don't quite have a lake in our backyard, so I brought out a bucket. This will be our source of water. You can see how we have our filter. You just toss this filter into the creek or into the lake. Ideally, you want it a little bit elevated so it doesn't get any sand. It can, but your life will be a lot better if you're mainly filtering just water. From the water source, the inlet hose goes all the way over to the case. Now, all the hoses have quick connectors, so it's simply a matter of pulling the connector. You can remove it, or you just push the connector into place and this snaps on. So that continues on to the inside, where you have more of a filter, which continues filtering all the sediment or whatever might be in the water. Going in through the filter, you then go towards the outlet hose. Same thing, also has a quick connector. There's a little bit of pressure in that one, and that goes all the way up to your spray nozzle. Behind the case, you see our Anderson connection for the power. This is where it's a little bit different compared to the self-contained tanks, because here you do have to get an outside source of power for that plug. So you can either use a 12-volt connection, where you can just plug this into your power station or into your vehicle, or you can use these clamps that can hook onto your battery terminals. You've got pretty decent clamps here, but I always prefer using the 12-volt when possible. Today I have the BioLite-based Charge 600, one of my favorite power stations. This is what we're going to use to demonstrate that DC 12-volt connection. So what I do here is I go ahead and plug that in, and I also make sure that the on and off switch on that 12-volt is turned to on, and the power button on the pump also turns on. Now, it may take about 20 seconds for the whole system to prime, but once the water goes on through, you can then spray. Your spray nozzle has some different options to it. So right now we have our center, and then I can switch it over to flat, over to jet, to shower, and my personal favorite, mist. This is a very straightforward product. You find the water, you get the water, you spray the water. I go on a lot of kayaking trips, and this is something that I could keep at my endpoint in my vehicle. I could even bring it on the kayak with how durable this case is if I really wanted to. This would be something awesome for spraying off the kayak, spraying myself off before I get into the car and the kayak goes on the car. So I can see this also being helpful for a lot of other adventures you may go on. Now, as much as I love WaterPORT, and as much as I love how durable everything looks and feels, and all those connections are great, I'm always a little hesitant whenever there's power close to these large sources of water. I see a lot of pictures of this being used on the creek with a power station just sitting precariously on rocks. I would ask you to be very mindful of what your power source is going to be. Don't be bringing battery terminals all the way over to the creek. But just think about, like, if you're plugging this into your vehicle or if you're using a power station, just keep an eye on those connections and when those are. And when possible, try to get a power station that's durable. I like BioLite. I think that they're really designed for outdoors adventures, things like that. But you can use this with any of your own power stations. Just be mindful of that one thing. But with that being said, once you have everything set up, once you're conscious about the fact that you may have to change filters, if you have this in extremely muddy water, things like that, I think that the HydroSpray is going to be a great addition to your adventure. This is just a really quick look at how this works, how you might use it, talking about some recommendations from me on the best way to get the most out of your HydroSpray. If you have any questions, we have all the specs on our website just to get you headed in the right direction. You can always give us a call or even leave me a comment right here on the video. I'd love to see what your thoughts are on the HydroSpray and whether you want this or the tank for your journey. But today, this was a look at the WaterPORT HydroSpray at etrailer.com. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed your journey.